want the ability to have smooth, buttery bow changes. And also the ability to have crisp, clean articulation when you want it. This exercise will give you both. This one's a big one. It's the Collé motion. Here's what it looks like. It may not look like much, but this motion is hugely beneficial on the violin. Not only will it help smooth out your bow changes, it also makes it possible to get quick, crisp sound anywhere in the bow. Let's talk about how to develop it. So for starters, I want the bow hair facing you right in the middle of your body, and I want you to take your left hand and grab the stick with it. We're gonna use this hand to basically teach this hand the proper motion. As we're training this hand, we want to give it the largest range of motion that we can while keeping our bow holding tact. What you're gonna try to do with this hand is lift and drop the bow while making sure that the bow stays perfectly straight. I want to avoid any sort of sideways curling, which this hand might encourage. While I'm doing this, I'm watching my bow very carefully to make sure that there's not too much angle change. Also be sure to avoid any in and out motion with the fingers and really isolate it to the up and down motion. After doing 5 with this hand, then we let this hand try to do the motion on its own. This will likely be very uncomfortable at first, but you'll see a lot of improvement even after the very first week. Alternate back and forth between this hand controlling and this hand controlling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, swap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll find some keys for success here are making sure that your hand is high enough, holding it about the height of your chest, and then also ensuring that your wrist remains pronated. This can be a little bit confusing in this position, but in between every 5, I would just pause and reset and add a little bit more pronation or wrist turn to it. If the wrist isn't pronated, I will likely get a lot of in and out motion with my fingers like this, rather than an up and down motion. Whereas if the wrist is pronated, it opens up this possibility for my fingers to move in a vertical direction. Make sure you're not over gripping the bow, which will of course make it very difficult to make these work. We want to be holding onto the bow just tightly enough that it's not slipping through our fingers. Also be sure that your elbow is nice and high and that it's not drooping down like this. For the first couple of weeks when you're doing these, I recommend doing 100 of them, where you switch back and forth between 5 of this hand leading and 5 of this hand leading. Take your time on this exercise. I would recommend working on it for about a month before progressing to the next exercise, which is all about applying Collé motion to the string. You can check it out here.